In myself I wander down an alley of my mind. You call me like a silhouette. I stop and linger there and read the writing on the wall, but the door to what we had. Tell me, did you want it so bad?
Culture of me.
It is a place where the truth should be kept.
The arts and music scene really shows what people are about.
Share what's going on here in York.
It makes you feel like a family.
Local art has a face that most people can relate to.
Our community up here that sticks together.
Art is art.
Great potential with great artists, poets, singers, writers, directors, filmmakers. It's fantastic.
Everyone has a story to tell.
That moment, you have to capture that moment and share it with the rest of the world.
Showing something that maybe has not been seen before.
Without art, what good is life?
I am art. I've been art ever since I was born.
It really adds a great deal to our community.
We don't really need art to exist, but you need art to live.
Culture in Maine is important, and I think playing out is important, and playing open mics and playing wherever you can play. It's all about us all checking in with each other.
I'm going to read for you a segment from the book, The Long Escape, to give you a feel of what these refugees went through as they were trying to come to America where it was going to be free. The refugees quickly and quietly boarded the ship and went down the rungs of a rope ladder into the hold, where bunks tightly lined the bulkheads side by side. The hold was a small 20 by 40 foot space divided into 2 floors made of loosely secured plywood planks. There were no windows, and the hold stunk from the passengers who had already been on board for 6 weeks. One of the crew members told everyone who had to find a 2 by 6 foot patch of plywood on the floor, which would be their new home. It was like a human jigsaw puzzle with interlocking knees, elbows, heads, and toes. Lit by a few naked electric bulbs, the space was very dim, filled with fog from cigarette smoke. The small room had only one bathroom, which was reserved for the 24 women that were on board. The men had to urinate wherever they could and shit in plastic bags, which they threw overboard. The hold was hot, and the roar of the engine was deafening. The hold smelled of excrement and sweat. And under those conditions, these Chinese immigrants made their way to America, taking such a long time, which is why the book is entitled The Long Escape.
Well, I'm here with pint-sized powerhouse of storytelling and literature, Judy Wolfman, and the fabulous artist who is behind her latest creation, Greiman. Now, you've seen Brett and some of his amazing artwork on the show before, but he's being showcased in a whole different way, helping to bring together the amazing story that Judy has given life to. And I think together the two of them created something really, really special. Now, tell us, because I want to know all about both of you, but this particular project is one of the most special ideas and stories that I have ever heard brought forth. So tell us about this project.
This is The Long Escape, so called because when the
so called.
Yeah, it's so long, but as you can see, it's a skinny little book.
The short tail of The Long Escape.
Right. So it's not going to take long to read the book, but it tells about 20 years ago when the Chinese men and women fled from China and wanted to come to America where they knew they could have freedom. And they were smuggled by human smugglers known as snakeheads. And those snakeheads charged them $25,000 a head to bring them across. Most of them didn't have that kind of money, but they borrowed it from friends, relatives, and the key was, when they got to America and got their jobs and got established,
you would have to go through, I mean, I'm just imagining trying to figure out how to raise $25,000 when I'm from an impoverished country and desperate to escape, and then to have to raise it again to then still give it back.
And before they left, they had to tell the smugglers where they would be in America. Relatives or friends that they knew that they were going to stay with.
To make sure they would track them.
Yeah. But the thing about the book is, the reason it's so thin is I focused on their escape from the time that they decided to leave until the time that they were freed. Now, people ask me, where did you get your stories from? A lot of people who were involved with the immigrants, which they were called when they first came here, learned about their stories, and they in turn related them to me. So I was able to take their story, but it's fictionalized because the names that I've used are not their names to protect them. They still don't have their American citizenship, which means that they could be deported. Could be. But the whole journey took, it was what, 17,000 miles?
Right.
17,000 miles. They took a long way around, and they had a couple of setbacks, and it took them 120 days. But more than that,
120 days.
But Carla, the conditions under which they lived on the ship. The ship was the Golden Venture, and it was crowded, it was smelly, they had limited food and water supplies, and I mean, it was just one horrific thing after another. Finally, after all that time, they reached America, but they went aground at Rockaway Beach in New York, and the captain said, those of you that can swim, swim! So they all dumped themselves overboard. Many of them could not swim, and they drowned in the process. Some reached the shore, but the water was cold, so they went into cardiac arrest. And others kind of disappeared into the area. 118 of the immigrants, the men, were brought to the York County prison. The women were shuffled off to various places in the United States, mostly in Louisiana, New Orleans.
So now, what is it about this particular story that drew both of you to decide that this was the one worth putting into print and worth creating work for?
This was one that I wanted to do, and I went to Brick, and I said, I need pictures, I need illustrations. And he designed this cover, which at first I said, I didn't like it at all. But I sent it into the publisher along with a couple of other prints, and the publisher liked it because he said it would draw. This was written on a 7th grade level because my feeling is that kids in school today need to know the historical events that took place here in their county. And Brett did a heck of a job.
So what was it about the project that drew you in?
Well, what was interesting was I've known Judy for a long time, but we didn't really work together. We met back around 1989. And then, just as things would sometimes come together, Judy gave me a call about this. And she had given me a book that she had written before this book about a Lithuanian Nazi
the Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, the Holocaust survivor.
Yeah. Wow.
And what I was used to seeing from Judy wrote a lot of books about, like life on a duck farm or life on a pig farm or something like that. But it's like life on various farms. But and I thought to myself, I can't believe Judy, the same author who wrote these books about life on various farms, wrote this book, because I couldn't pull myself away from it. So when Judy gave me a call about this, I thought this would be great to work with Judy, because I think we can, take a look at the facts that are involved here. It's fascinating and it's of local interest. And I thought, well, I could do a lot with that. So
this is one of my favorites.
That's amazing.
This was from a newspaper article in the New York Times, black and white.
Okay.
And look what he did with it. The description was that when they went aground, the first responders came and they wrapped them in blue blankets. And based on the information that he had, look what he did.
That's amazing.
And another interesting thing about that one, as well as a few of the others, is the process didn't begin and end in Photoshop. It began in Photoshop, but then what I would do is take that manipulated image, and it's called parsing, parse it into Illustrator. And then in Illustrator, you can take, using the live trace function, you can take this pixelated image, it's called rasterize, and turn it into vectors. Vectors are centuries. And through the live trace function, then you can do even more special effects with it. So the great thing about it is, Judith says to me basically, do what you think. And
you had a lot of.
I don't know what to do.
Yes, that makes it a lot of fun. But that was another great thing too. I mean, even though Judy wasn't too crazy about the cover, and she agreed with, well, let's go ahead and submit all three, see what the publisher says. And the publisher's visual editor got back to Judy and said, basically, well, I like the one with the dragon for the very same reason.
It does make you reach out and grab you, and it does make you feel that sort of this big giant thing coming for you, that you feel that fear, you feel that intensity of emotion.
I think too that I have introduced you into book publishing illustration, right?
Well, yeah, no, you're right.
So authors that are in need of illustration.
So there you have it. Yeah. And I have given his name to a lot of other authors too now. Hopefully that'll get him on a different route. Not a different route, but another route.
Now, the storytelling aspect, you actually were involved in live and in-person storytelling.
Yeah. I've been storytelling ever since 1989, professionally. And I do it in organizations, I've done it in libraries, and I teach storytelling at all kinds of venues.
Now, this is actually becoming a huge thing. It's gaining a renewed popularity. There's storytelling slams and storytelling competitions, storytelling conventions and conferences, where it's its own separate art form. Now, for those people that are not familiar at home, can you catch them up on, I mean, storytelling, we think that's something that just is, it's sort of a default. This is, of course, everybody tells stories. So how is storytelling as an art form different from, the anecdotes that you share over dinner?
Because there's certain gestures, facial expressions, word choices, and kind of what you're doing in essence, as opposed to, say, reading from a book. You don't have illustrations. You have to create those illustrations.
You have to be the illustration.
Exactly. Through the words that you choose and the way you say those words, and you create the whole scene. And they get it. And you can tell all kinds of stories. I predominantly will tell folk tales and multicultural folk tales and Native American stories, only because they are not authored. And so nobody can come up to me and say, "Wait a minute, that's not the way I wrote." Yeah. So I'm a little freer to do that sort of thing. And I still teach storytelling. So if anybody is interested in learning how and what, very simple process, but practice is the big thing, like any other art form. Yeah. Practice. But I have written other things too. Then I took my storytelling and I created scripts for Reader's Theater. And I created a book on how and why stories for Reader's Theater. And that was for teachers to use to help children learn how to read with expression. And that took off, and I started to do a lot of workshops and programs based on that. And then that led into playwriting, and I've written and have published 9 plays, which have been published performed all over the world, which I'm very proud of. So, one thing leads to another, and then I grew up. And I decided to become an adult. And I wrote the Not My Time book, and then this one, and now we're working on Mr. Hershey. Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Really?
Oh, Henry Box Brown, but I'm calling that No Slave No More. The story of Henry Box Brown. You've never heard of him. Very few people have. He was a slave in the 18th century who had a box built, put himself into it, and had himself shipped from Richmond, Virginia, where he was a slave, to Philadelphia, where he was free. While the Chinese immigrants were in the York County prison, and they were there for almost 4 years, one day, one of the men who was very, very bored had a magazine. It was like the National Geographic with lots of shiny, colorful pages. And he began to just arbitrarily tear strips. He had a pile of strips in front of him. What do you do with them? So he started to fold them, making triangles. Now he had a pile of triangles. What now? He took the point of one triangle, inserted it into the wide end of another triangle, and continued that way until he had a snake-like figure. Then he began to kind of wrap them around, making a sculpture. The result was a pineapple. Bear in mind, this is just paper that has been torn, put into triangles, and sculpted. He did a beautiful job. This is not the original. Many pineapples came out. The other people, the other men in the prison, saw what he was doing and said, "We'd like to do that too. Show us how." Fortunately, in the pods, there was a big plate glass window so that they could see from one pod into the other. And as they watched him, they learned, and they began to sculpt many, many things, one of which is a basket. They did vases, flowers, birds, and the most popular one of all was an eagle, which they called the freedom bird. In time, the wife of the attorney who was in charge of this whole program saw these works of art and said, "They're magnificent. I'd like to try to sell them." The Chinese men were very, very impressed, and they said, "Who would pay money to buy our paperwork?" Well, they were surprised because they sold many, many pieces. In fact, each piece, I don't know if you can see it here, but each piece is identified with the name of the man who made it, and when he made it, and how much it sold for. This particular basket, for example, was sold for $20, and the pineapple was sold for $10. Cheap. Well, one day, a man who has an art gallery in New York came down. He heard about this. And when he saw these pieces, he filled up his van with everything that there was available. When he took it back to New York to his gallery and was unpacking it, people were looking at him and saying, "How much are you going to ask for these?" He didn't even get them on his display shelves. And he just put a 1 in front of the numbers. The one for $20, one for $120. The one for $10, one for $100. In time, over that period, when the immigrants were making the paper art, they earned well over $135,000. The woman who was the wife of the attorney, she banked it all. She was an accountant. She opened up a bank account for each one of the men, put the money into their account so that when they were finally released, they had money with which to get started. So the art now, after they were freed, they said, "Never again will I tear another piece of paper," and they haven't. So it's like an art form. There was no name given to it. It's not origami, but it's an art form that is no longer in existence except for those pieces in private residences, a few art galleries, and some museums. In fact, the Historical Society Museum here in York County has a collection of about 4 or 5 pieces. And in December, I'm going to be there to talk further about them, and they'll have the art pieces on display.
weekly reading. This one's called Love is My First Name, Violence My Last. And it's a follow-on to that other poem, Remains. I think that this was published in the Pick and Review, which is my literary mag at, where I got my master's at Goddard College. And it has an epigraph. The epigraph is, "You have never really loved if you haven't wanted to murder." You have left me. Your memory batters me like a policeman's nightstick. A blood-soaked anger torrents from my mouth. My legs are cigarettes, stubbing themselves gray on the sidewalk. I'm a fiend trying to burn you out of my gut. I punish my body until it collapses. But you still squat in my chest, heavy and oppressive. I want to smash skulls and break bones. Instead, I throw my fury into words. Disaster has a fuse, and me, I just lit a match. Ding.
Okay. This piece is entitled Used to Love Her. And I wrote this because I was like totally disenchanted with poetry, but the only way that I could express that is in poetic form. So, I've been over you 1,000,000 times or more, wishing we'd never met. Recycled regret like a hamster with a new wheel and a broken foot. The attraction is too grand to overlook, too innate to reconsider or try something new. It's always about love, when I want to hate you with equal passion. You course through my core, emanate through my eyes. Each tragic tear and comic relief speak of your innumerable accomplishments in my life. Omnipresent as the Ancient of Days, and just as great a potentate. The soothsayer whose messages are felt more so than heard. I can't fucking stand you. You laugh at my goodbyes, taking my imminent return for granted. When I'm strong enough to forget that I was ever in love, you'll be lonely. I'll have the last laugh and the first cry. You'll crave my arrival like a vampire's bloodlust at the witching hour. I'll refuse you. Direct you to those you allowed to use you. Hustled you like a backdoor whore who did little to keep my attention, well knowing that I easily bore. Then they run you like a field hand, fully aware of whose you are. You were mine. Ours was us. We were happy once. Yet you lend yourself to your oppressors, the talentless and the lesser, just for something to do. Which makes you little else than an endeavor, a task on a to-do list, a useless cheap trick. That's such a fucking turnoff. A trade for blankets and firewater could prove to be more attractive. But the lure of your drawn curtains will die, as will my rage. Besides, I still have your sister, the page.
This poem is called Not a Racist But, and it is dedicated to that phrase, which is so commonly uttered.
Yes.
So you're not a racist, but? Well, if you're not a racist butt, are you a racist foot, all snug and warm inside those jackboots of savoir-faire? Your every fall casting echoes from the puddles to the firmament, sinking deeper into the muck and the briars, that fine soul becoming so wrinkled and torn. It's funny, isn't it? How walking on the moon and crushing a throat take only the right motivation and one small step? If you're not a racist butt, are you a racist finger? Accusatory, negatory, annihilatory, drawing out your words into the sand, only there's no ocean, no tide coming in to wash those inscriptions clean. They're as indelible as stone. Oh, racist finger, the triggers you've pulled, the bullets you've launched, the big red buttons you've pushed, the wounds you're still stuck inside. If you're not a racist butt, are you a racist eye? Chiaroscuro vision, shifting those complicated grays to binary. It's better that way, right? Simple, no? Wide irises gather the shock of the other. Be careful, you always change the things you observe, so be cautious when you look. Now what will it be? What part of your body will you use this time to make some darkness and tears, if it's not going to be your racist butt?
The kiss. I could get lost in your kiss, swallowed up in the movement of mouths pressed tight together, lips, teeth, and tongue in tandem, randomly touching, tasting, and diving into your heart in the heat of your longing, swirling, whirling in my head, floating on the helium contact high, up, up, away. A time to soar and be bold. But not the day you've got a cold.
But this is called Out to Do. And I did tell him tales along the way. I told him tales without delay about the thought I knew. The things I thought gave me a clue of what was for the day of old, and new days were the ways to say that I was far more than I knew, that I was far more than I grew, my hair out long upon the head, that I had thought once was so dead, so lost in thought, I could not think these new ideas that would wake my psyche, that had lost the most important thing that I could know about a man was full of sin, about a man who knew his kin, were elements of days gone by and did not cry, but by and by they foretold things about the day when we all had gone far away from truth, that lies seemed to be true, that lies seemed the thing we could do to wake us up, to make a try and find out for ourselves if I am all that I set out to do, was all that I knew, was not you who went ahead and made the bed I'd chosen to lie down as dead. Men do when they would prophesy, dead men would do before they knew that life and death, they are the same. They are both a part of the game. In time and space where we make haste, in time and space where we make waste of things we first set out to do, of things that show what I can do. To learn a new way I can do, to learn another way to show that things I do without a clue to truth and life and love and hate. They all show me a way to go so I can choose again to go another way, or stay the stay, or remain in the same old place. To play the play over again, to live the plan I found that day, implanted from the days gone by, implanted before I knew I could choose a different way to go, to see for sure if I could know a different thing or two, to use those different things they do show you who you can choose not to be, that you can choose to not let me stay in this place where men go mad, imagine things that I can have, and live my life a different way, a way that will show me the way to change my mind, to redefine what I once thought I could not be. In lives lived, I refuse to be, believe that it is me who made these awful nightmares seem to stay inside my head. Repeat, repeat, until I'm wise enough to see that I can rightly change my mind, that I can choose a different sight to follow to the mountaintop, to follow up there and then flop my map upon the darkened lair of dinosaurs who did not care to think the thoughts would make them free, the thoughts that tell them it is me, responsible for what I say, responsible for what I do. It is my life, my choice to see the thing I do believe can be, the thing I do believe. Show me the kind of life that I've achieved by believing in things I've read, by believing in all instead of going inside of the maze and daring to remove the haze of Frankensteinial nightmares found in Mother Hubbard's cabinet door inside the house of Goldilocks in temples built to shield the sky. One who believed we cannot be the kings and princes that you see in fairy tales that tell the truth about the lives we've lived in youth, about the lives we used to choose, experiences found to be the way to play with dice and see if we find the pearl, if we would find the pearl that he was made to be, and see, is she? Bing.
This is called the Wayne Game. I met a man who sells salt. To rhyme, his name should be Walt, but Wayne is his given name, and salt is his selling game. You do? Yeah. Well, is he the salt of the earth? Is salt the sum of his worth, and is this man worth his salt? Or should his work come to a halt? If tons of salt are tipped over by a driver not quite sober, does everyone have bad luck and the rest of their lives suck? Is a no-salt mine the main competition for this Wayne? Does the rock salt also roll? Can you pinch salt as a goal? Does a salt lick have a tongue? These are the questions that hung in the air, but I didn't ask when he went about his task, selling salt, this man not named Walt.
It's called The Holidays Without. And it's kind of on that love theme in a different way. Dreary, dreary, dreary are the clouds of winter's disdain, so gray and bitter. The wind, whipping and frostbitten, lashes out at a fallen garbage can full of bums' dreams while my bones ache waiting by the bus stop. There's a girl with piping eyes and tumbling presence walking away, stretching out her legs in my memories. Yes, I'm the lonely loner that blows Ellington's Don't Get Around Much Anymore and wailing not so crisp frozen phrases. Where's my hat and gloves? Where's that damn bus? Where's my pride? I've seen a man and cigar light up. I've seen a woman and child holding hands. I've seen me in my bed empty at night. Dreary, dreary, dreary are the tears of my disdain, so gray and bitter. Ding.
Up on the table, please feed me, and I'll beg till you have nothing more to please me. I know what I've always known, what the body wants is what the body needs, and it's free. Darling, just feed me. Come here as a martyr, so bleed me. Red wine over broken bread, deceive thee. And I know what I've always known, that appointed time it is drawing near, but don't grieve. Darling, just feed me. Sycamore, feed me in a house where you were raised, and leave me to die in the cold summer night, unaware, unafraid, as I step towards that light. I don't know, man, who I've come. light, unaware, unafraid as I step towards that light. I need love, darling, just leave me, darling, oh no, 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 darling, just leave me, darling, just leave me.
Hello, we're Recluse, and this is a song called I Do Right.
Maybe you can tell, maybe you can tell, but I do right. Maybe you can tell in a different light. I could be a storm cloud, I could be a man. Maybe you can tell. I can tell by the way that you play with your hair. I got you thinking about the things I might be doing when I'm not there. But maybe one of us has to turn out the light. It could take one night, sugar. It could take a lifetime. You could be spending every single one of your dreams on me. Maybe you can tell. Every night when I hold you tight, I can feel your heartbeat. I know there's something that you're not telling me, baby. Maybe you can tell. I can tell by the way that you play with your hair. I got you thinking about the things I might be doing when I'm not there. But maybe one of us has to turn out the light. Maybe you can tell. Maybe you can tell, but I do right. Maybe you can tell.
We're Recluse, and it's our new hot track, Make It Out Alive.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Different families, different purpose. All together different God that I worship. One is an everyday occurrence and the other you probably never ever heard of. One is flawed and the other is perfect. Nothing is mine but I feel like it should be. Looking back over the years, what I could be. Leaving all the rest behind, trying to make it on my own and in my own way. Trying to make it out alive. alive myself. It's the only way. Make it out alive, make it out alive. If one gets out, then the rest survive. Make it out alive, free yourself. Make it out alive, if the dam lets open and the river gets wide. I hope that everyone can make it out. I hope that everyone can make it out. I hope that everyone can make it out alive. I was making it out alive back when it wasn't cool. When the only thing I knew how to cop was an attitude. Thinking about all that I could gain, I was thinking about the things that I couldn't lose. I was afraid of being real confused. That's not fair for you and that's not fair for me. Climbing up the branches down on the family tree. Waiting as the years go by and I see that stood so still. Trying to make it out myself. It's the only way. Make it out alive, make it out alive. If one gets out, then the rest survive. Make it out alive and free yourself. Make it out alive if the dam lets open and the river gets wide. I hope that everyone can make it out alive. Make it out alive. The rest of your friends, they're gonna run and hide. Make it out alive and free yourself. Make it out alive if the dam lets open and the river gets wide. I hope that everyone can make it out. I hope that everyone can make it out. I hope that everyone can make it out alive. I hope that everyone can make it out
I am here with the fabulously fun Pittsburgh-based band who has roots deeply in our own York soil, Recluse. So, gentlemen, would you introduce yourselves to the camera, let the audience at home know your names and how you got your start in this fabulous ensemble?
My name's Max Somerville. I also go by Brundangan. And we've been playing together for about a year. I've been playing with most of these guys for a long time, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Nathan Zub, also known as...
Is that a stage name?
Nathan Zub? No. I imagine it's Ellis Island, though.
You just
Zub,
got
right?
magically, super genetically lucky.
Yeah,
you
it's
were
true.
born to be a rock band member.
Well, you know, it was probably Zubski or Zubstein or Zubberg back in the old country, and it got shortened.
and then a destiny was born.
That's right. And I think that's why they picked me for the band. Actually, was just the name. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm.
I'm Derek Christak. I play the drums with Max and Zub. And the next guy you're going to meet in a second.
The excitement builds.
Yes, I'm York-born Dave Bush. Play the bass, and I've been enjoying playing music with these guys for many, many years.
So how did you end up playing music in Pittsburgh?
Okay, so, you know, I had a love of music all my life. I played saxophone in the marching band. Then I started playing guitar and bass, got in the jazz band. Yep. You know, playing the string instruments, and that's what really spoke to me. And then I decided to go to IUP senior year for music education. I was going to do science, and then my dad's like, or not, excuse me, I was going to do technology science. My dad's like, you're not going to do anything with that. So I decided Why not do music?
So that is the opposite of every musician story ever. I was gonna do technology and science, and you'll never make money with that. You should do music.
Yeah, I was gonna be an IT guy. I wasn't good with programming or the engineering part. I was just kind of gonna be a grunt, just moving wires. So I decided to, do the music ed thing, where focus on education, where I can get a job in the schools and really reach the kids. But I decided to go to IUP, which is close to Pittsburgh. So when I graduated, I moved down there and, been playing music there for 7 years, and met these guys about 4 years ago. And then a year ago, we decided to kind of branch off, and, Max wanted to do his own thing, and we loved what he did. He makes some great music, and we got his back.
So how did you guys end up going from classical training, playing every other instrument, doing jazz, to like amalgam white boy funk pop rock explosion with an alterna overcast?
Well, like Dave said, we've been playing together.
Just digest that for a minute. That's what I got to do in the back. See, I got to digest the music.
Oh, right on. Like Dave said, we've been playing together for like a long time. So we've played in a lot of different bands together. And some of them really funky, some of them really weird. And it was kind of like, I asked the guys, like, hey, I've got some tunes. Would you help me out rocking them? And I've been writing songs my whole life, but I've never had a band. And so when we put the band together, you get like the influences of all of us that are like really weird and awesome. I mean, weird is the key word.
So do you guys write the music together, or do you tend to write the songs and then you orchestrate the parts separately? Like, what's the process you guys go through as a band now, as an ensemble, to create one piece of music?
Well, I write all the songs like on my piano or guitar at my house, but then they become songs when I bring them to the band, and then each member like puts their flavor into it. And that's a weird way to put it, but yeah, each of us is our own flavor. I'm mint chocolate chip. And then the other guy, I'm not going to speak for the other guy. This is my favorite too.
Cookie dough.
Yeah, Derek's cookie dough for sure.
I'll be cookie dough.
If you were a flavor, what flavor would you be?
Is Alterna Overcast a flavor?
Well, they have the mystery Dum Dum Lollipop flavors.
There you go.
Yeah, mystery flavor.
I'm whatever was left over in the machine that they put a white label on.
But that's still delicious.
Thank you.
What about you? If you were a flavor, what flavor would you be?
I'd have to be birthday cake.
I love it.
You can definitely find us at recluseband.com. That's a website.
Great idea.
Yeah, so that's where all our info's at. We're currently on tour right now. We're doing a little tour of the Northeast. This is our third day. We're going to Baltimore tonight, and then we're going to hit Boston and New York City. So we just want to like make awesome music and play it all over the place and have as many people listen to it. And like how all of us have been playing together for a long time, we want to like collaborate with other people and meet people in other cities. We've had some weird, crazy acts play with us already. I gotta give a shout out to Spiritual Machine in Washington D.C. This dude was nuts. He was like he was just this dude that had like an iPad strapped to a guitar, and he just started screaming and playing dance music and screaming over top of it. And I was almost like angry at him. I was like, dude, you're so weird, like, and you're so crazy. But then I looked at him and I was like, you know what? Like, I can't even be mad at you guys. Like, you're just crazy. So that was like one thing that we experienced on tour already on day one.
Like, what is it like having these different fans every night, brand new people that haven't heard you before, as opposed to when you're playing in your hometown and you've got friends in the audience? I know York's art scene is really characterized by that. You know, you go out to a music show and it's filled with musicians, it's filled with your collaborators, it's filled with your friends, it's filled with familiar faces that you grew up with. On the road, it would have to seem so strange to me that you're looking out in the audience and it's new people every single night. It's people that don't know you, and now you have to win them over.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's the great part.
This is fun.
It's a challenge to an extent, but I think the most exciting thing for me is that you get off stage and people go, wow, you know, I had no idea what I was going to come see tonight. My friend brought me, or I just stopped in, or I saw it on some website about, you know, things that are going on in the city, and we saw you guys and you blew us away. And that is like the moment that you travel for, really.
Wow. How is that working out? Like, I know we've got at least one of you with a little girl
Yes.
That you've been, singing C is for Cookie to.
Yeah.
So what about the rest of you guys? Have families, and how does that work? Leaving work and day jobs and leaving family, girlfriends, kids, and being on the road. How do you find that balance?
I try not to pay taxes. No, I'm just kidding.
That's always a start. That's always a start.
No, I hate working. But I work construction, and actually I love it. I don't like waking up and going to work. I'd rather play music. So this is this is what I love doing.
Yeah.
And it is tough leaving your friends and your girlfriends, the people you love. Friends and family back home are very supportive though. So it's it's worth it. It's fun. They support me out here. Yeah. So it's cool.
Lots of phone calls. Lots of texts. Haiku texts.
It's all about the unlimited plan for being on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get haikus
contact
from home?
Yes. You got to reply in haikus sometimes. Yeah, so
that's important.
Just constant contact's a big thing. I gotta look it up. I don't remember what it was.
All right, well, you find the haiku. What do you guys do? How do you survive? What's your road trip survival kit?
We got Cheez-Its in the car.
Oh, family size.
Family size Cheez-Its. Also, white cheddar popcorn. I got a water bottle that Max likes to borrow. And we have Teddy Grahams that I've been saving. I know Max bought them, but we haven't opened them yet because they're gonna be crucial soon.
That's what Max keeps telling Derek. Just wait.
We're saving them. We're saving them. We're saving them.
That's important stuff. All right, haiku me.
Oh yeah, okay. So my girlfriend Julie. Hi Julie, I love you. Dahlia, I love you too.
Oh, see, that is how you survive on the road. You make sure to send those shout outs to the people at home so they're still there when you get back.
So she sent me a haiku, and then I replied, but not in haiku form. So this is my re-reply in haiku. Just 'cause it might be, I am slow with the wordplay. Rock one day, I will.
Aww. Cards and letters going to come flooding in. I like the whole Yoda-esque language of that. That feels very haiku
It's really how I
appropriate.
understand grammar and syntax.
You're like, I play music, dude. I play music.
Got notes and sequences. That's how that works up here.
Oh, okay, now give us the website one more time.
Reclooseband.com, and that's also spelled WRECKLOOSE band.com.
You're wrecking it up here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good thing, right? That's a good thing?
That's an amazing thing.
Okay,
For
good.
those at home, wrecking it on stage in stage lingo, that is a good thing. Make sure that you visit the website. Make sure that you check them out while you're on tour, and make sure you continue to enjoy the music of Recluse.
We're Recluse, and this is called Isn't It a Shame About Kurt? It's about Kurt Cobain, and Kurt Cobain loved ferns. And so we put up some ferns on stage in memory of Kurt.
a shame about Kurt? It's such a shame about Kurt. About Kurt, it's such a shame about Kurt.
I'm Carla Christopher, and thank you for joining us right here on the corner of Culture in Maine for another episode of York's weekly cultural showcase, bringing you the very best of the art and culture scene in the York area. Now, if you like what you heard, or even if you didn't, we want to hear from you. So find us on Facebook and make sure to click like at facebook.com/Culture in Maine. Follow us on Twitter at Culture in Maine. Email us at cultureinmaine@gmail.com. Or to find all things Culture in Maine, check out our website, wrct.tv. Go to Channel 18, Show Profiles, and pick Culture in Maine. We want to also thank the artists who contributed to our set. We want to thank Hacker and Case for Change for donating the guitar. And we want to thank, of course, the fabulous artist Lovey Reinhold Price. Find her under The Glass Vidalia on Facebook or by emailing theglassvidalia@gmail.com. And John Stump of jsphotographyfinearts.com. You can also look up JS Photography Fine Arts on Facebook as well. So be safe, be good to each other, and we will absolutely see you here next week on the corner of Culture and Maine.
I'm really excited about this. I love the atmosphere, and I just want to know more about it.
I see it evolving, changing, growing. I like it.
It's fleeting. Once it happens, once a song comes out, once a poem comes out, it'll never come out the same.
Something like Culture in Maine is documenting what's going on in a way that will have that lasting staying power.
It just breeds health, growth. It's just a necessity. It's a necessity.
Waiting for me. Tell me what